Guys, what's going on? So this video is for a viewer. I got a request from a viewer that goes by the name of Race Gas Smells Good, asking why did I go with 355 gears in my 2022 Ram 1500. It came from the factory with 3.21, and the only other option for the V8 trucks is the 3.92. Why not go with that more aggressive gear as opposed to putting together a 355 gear setup for that truck? An option, by the way, which was never offered for the V8 trucks at the time. Well, it has everything to do with drivability, not so much with wide open throttle performance, because let's be honest, the 321 gear does very well at that. Limits wheel spin and allows the truck to hook up, where the 3.92 gear doesn't quite do that. But there's other areas where the 355 gear actually made a significant improvement just in drivability. The main thing is this: the DT Ram, as opposed to the Classic, uses a different transmission. It uses an HP75, and that transmission gear ratio spread is different than the HP70. It's more aggressive in first and second gear, leaving a wider split between second and third. And there were times driving the truck where I wouldn't be really in the throttle that hard, but I would be just trying to accelerate as normal, and it would go first gear, second gear, third gear. It would just kind of fall on its face a little bit on that 2 to 3 shift. With the 355s, it wouldn't do that. Much less so would it do it with the 392 gear, but I'll get to why I didn't get with that gear in just a second. So the 355 gear helped to eliminate that weird flat spot on the 2-3 shift under partial acceleration scenarios. Now, what about on the highway? This is another drivability issue where the 355 gear helped, and it's kind of a weird thing. So going down the highway, the HP75 transmission has more economical overdrives in 7th and 8th gears than the HP70 does. So going down the highway, the truck almost felt like it was, I don't really want to call it laboring, but it didn't feel like it had quite the punch that my Classic Ram has. And so the switch to the 355 in that respect helped to give it a little bit of pep in its step in those 7th and 8th gear scenarios. And that worked out pretty well for me, especially when towing. The truck basically just didn't want to shift into 8th gear with the 321 gears, and it would actually do just fine in 8th gear with the 355s. And this is towing, say, 6,000 pounds worth of Hellcat behind it, car in the trailer. So why not the 3.92 gear ratio? I mean, it is more aggressive. You'd have thought that with me running the truck and dragging the truck and things like that, that I'd have gone with the 392 gear. Well, there's a couple of reasons why I didn't. The first is that with the more aggressive gear, the truck just would want to convert the rear tires into tire smoke. And I know this just from my experience by driving other DT Rams that had the 3.92 rear gear ratio. It was just a little bit too aggressive at launch. And because of that, well, I wasn't really all too keen with it. The thing is that I drive this truck daily, and in traffic-y type scenarios, if you've got to roll into the throttle hard, what you don't want to do is just light the tires up. That's 392's perfect place for that. Now, if this truck would have been 4-wheel drive, I probably would have gone with the 3.92s, maybe a different wheel and tire setup. But remember, I'm running the stock wheel and tires on that truck. So what about for the highway? Well, this is where the 392 gear gets a little bit strange. For one, yes, you're going to have to pay a little bit of a penalty for the 392 gear for fuel consumption. It's just going to burn a little bit more gas, but not by as much as you might think. But the weird thing about the 392 gear in these trucks is that although it feels great going down the highway, when I would go to floor it at highway speeds, the gear split in the transmission, it's kind of strange. There's like a flat spot there. Like, remember when I was talking about that 2 to 3 shift on the 321 gears where it would go 2, 3, and it would just be like this weird flat spot that under partial throttle would make you want to tip into the throttle more, and then that would initiate a downshift, and it kind of made it kind of a hunky-jerky down there. Well, the 392 gear up top, there was a weird flat spot. When you would go wide open at highway speeds, it would fall onto a gear that just didn't it wasn't in its peak power band, really. It was kind of strange. So I've got this more aggressive gear, but it's downshifting into a gear higher than even the 321 gear would fall into. So in that respect, the 321 gear had better acceleration on the highway. The 392 might have offered better acceleration from a dead stop. The 355 split the difference beautifully. I got rid of that weird dead spot on the 2-3 shift, and I still was able to downshift into a more aggressive gear on the highway, giving me better acceleration on the highway and better acceleration down low. It's kind of weird how it split the difference really well there, and I also found it weird that Ram never offered that gear as standard for that truck, which is mind-blowing. So anyway, Race Gas, I hope that helps you out. That's the reason why I went with the 355 gear. If the rest of you guys have your input on gearing, let me know. And obviously there's going to be circumstances where maybe the 321 gear might work better for some folks, or the 392 might work better for others. I think if you're doing a lot of long distance driving, then the 321 gear would probably be best from an economy standpoint. If you've got a 4-wheel drive truck and you're running maybe larger tires, or you can shut off traction control completely, put it in 4-wheel drive and launch it in that respect, well, maybe the 392 gear does better for you in that way. But for me, the 355 was absolutely perfect. And if I ever get another Ram truck again, it's going to have 355 gears. And with that, post up your comments. Let me know what you got. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.